How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Miles Gutierrez. Thank you for joining me today. I just got done watching Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This is the origin story of Furiosa before we meet her in Mad Max Fury Road. And I went into this movie kind of skeptical because I really enjoyed the first movie. I think that is a completely different movie than what the entire franchise eventually turns out to be. And I've only seen Mad Max Fury Road once when it first came out in theaters, and I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. So going into this movie, I really wanted to see what kind of spin Anya Taylor-Joy was going to bring to this character, because I really like what Charlize Theron brought to the character back in Mad Max Fury Road.
I'm Furiosa! The darkest of angels. The question is, do you have it in you to make it epic?
Now, starting off with the positives for this movie, the performances all around here are absolutely fantastic. From Chris Hemsworth to Anya Taylor-Joy to Alila Brown. I do apologize if I butchered the first name, but she was just recently in Sting. She plays the young Furiosa in this movie. She has a lot of the heavy duty for this movie because the first act is really her movie. She is the one that is bringing all the weight to this character in order for Anya Taylor-Joy to grab that baton and run it to the finish line, and then for Charlize Theron to carry it in Mad Max Fury Road, I think is what makes this movie even more special. It kind of changes the way you see Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road. You see all the trials and tribulations that this character goes through from a young age to when she's an adult, and what goes on later on, the way that she ends up working for Immortan Joe. There is a lot of development with this character in this movie that I was not really expecting it to get. When you have this movie at 2.5 hours, there's a lot of pacing going on that might work for you and might not work for you. This movie is broken down into 5 different chapters, and each chapter I really enjoyed. The fact that this movie is able to keep your attention for that long, and you're not able to find a place for you to leave your seat because you're so engaged from beginning to end, is what really makes this movie even more special. As somebody that isn't the biggest fan of long runtimes, you have to capture my attention for that long. If you are going to make a movie about 2.5 hours long, make your movie really engaging and really enthralling in order for you to justify this really long runtime. And at times I do feel like they are able to justify the runtime a little bit, even though the movie is broken down into 5 different chapters. When we get to the end of each chapter, it kind of leaves you a little bit uneven because it always fades to black, and then you get the next chapter and you're thrown into this new chapter that sometimes you kind of wish each chapter had a little bit more time to breathe. I think each chapter takes about 30 minutes of screen time, I believe, somewhere around there. And some chapters are shorter than others, but you kind of want to let your chapters breathe a little bit more in order for the audience to get engaged with these characters, with what's going on. The action set pieces in here are just absolutely beautiful. What George Miller brought to Mad Max Fury Road, he definitely brings it back into this movie, and you just feel the action every single time that it's on display because it's in full frame, so you're not getting a lot of shaky cams thrown in here. You're seeing everything unfold. Just the cinematography for the Australian outback just toss you back into this world, and you want to see more of this world. And that's kind of the feeling that I came out of this movie. I kind of want to see a little bit more of this world because I really like what they were going for. Chris Hemsworth is a completely different villain than I was really expecting him to be, because George Miller highlights the best parts of Chris Hemsworth. I think a lot of people don't know how great he is in comedy, and George Miller is able to highlight that in here full frame because he is a character that kind of takes himself seriously at times, but at other times he's cracking jokes and trying to levitate the emotional moments at times. And Chris Hemsworth just absolutely shines in this movie. He knows when to hit those comedic beats, and George Miller knows when to splice those in whenever some things are starting to get a little bit more heavy. You get a little bit more of demeanor cracking jokes here and there, but it's not a full-blown comedy. Now, that character is probably not going to work for a lot of people because it is a completely different villain than what is being shown in the trailers, but I really like the dimensions that Hemsworth was able to bring to Dementor, and just seeing everything unfold is just absolutely beautiful. Now, going into some of the mixed slash disappointing aspects about this movie, the story in this movie is kind of non-existent. It's just a showcase for the action because there is a lot of action in here, and some of the editing for me didn't work. I'm not sure if it's because of the high frame rate that the movie is filmed at or if it was filmed in that way, but there are a lot of times in this movie where the editing is zooming in and out at times. Just the editing of the action where it's moving really fast just didn't work for me. At times it worked for me, but at other times I wish they kind of toned it down a little bit. It kind of puts you in the action, but that's just something that started to take me out a little bit. Some of the chapters work for me, but other times they just feel like they end so rapidly that you don't really get full satisfaction when it comes down to each chapter. So I think cutting down the chapters would have worked a little bit better. Just the pacing at times, it works when it's moving really fast, but at the same time, there are a lot of moments where it kind of takes a step back a little bit and you're just wanting the story to move a little bit further. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not sure if it's better than Mad Max Fury Road, but as far as prequels go, I think this was a fun little movie. It's everything that you want in this movie, just amped up a little bit. And the best way to see this movie is on the biggest screen with the loudest sound possible, because just the sound design of the cars just makes the whole theater rumble, and you're going to get the best 2.5 hour massage that you can possibly ever get. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and give Furiosa a 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it's going to end up being in my top 10 movies of the year. There are some things in here that I thought would have been better fleshed out, but it's enjoyable. The action sequences are fantastic. If you enjoyed Mad Max Fury Road, then you're probably going to come out enjoying this movie overall. But those are my thoughts on Furiosa. Have you guys checked it out, or are you planning on checking this film out? Go ahead and drop your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.